Hey, welcome back. It's Tony Litster. Thanks for watching the last video we created and for the comments that you left there at the bottom and chiming in. On that last video, we talked about some of the myths and lies of recovery that keep people stuck and how to address this with a sort of a reality standpoint so that you can get the results you're looking for. On this video, we're going to talk about the mindset that you kind of have if you want to get the results you're looking for. And then we're going to talk about the mechanics and the tools that will help you to actually get the results that you want here. And what we're really looking forward is to getting to a place of kind of a reality place of recovery, where you don't look at porn anymore and you feel great about yourself, where you've broken the shame, you've gotten rid of that inner dialogue that doesn't serve you, and you've learned to manage your sexual feelings and not make it wrong, not make yourself wrong, not let other people make you wrong about the feelings that you have. It's just part of being human. And you got to learn how to deal with it, and that's part of what you're going to do in this process. Another part of that recovery is connecting with your spiritual purpose, if that's something that's important to you, and creating fulfilling relationships. And by eliminating the porn and eliminating the shame and the secrecy and all the stories that come with it, we can be more authentic and real, and we can connect in our relationships, whether those are relationships with friends or romantic relationships and marriage and things like that. So let's talk about this, the mindset for you to be able to get to this place, because obviously this is the place you want to get to. So there's some different ways of thinking. I'm going to talk about some of the ways of thinking that are really important, and then I'm going to give you 3 different ways to get these ways of thinking. Number one, the first piece of the mindset of being able to really get the recovery you're looking for is that you have to think long term. And the reason for this is that habits take time to implement. The brain studies show that if you feel a feeling every day for about 30 days, it will create what's called a new neural pathway in your brain. The way your brain is set up is there's billions of neurons, these little receptors inside your brain. And there's these electrical impulses that pass through these neurons and they basically send signals in your brain to release chemicals and to give you feelings and give you experiences and all that kind of stuff, right? So if you feel a feeling, it is an electrical signal passing through your brain. And if you feel that feeling every day for about 30 days, it creates sort of a rut, or it's almost like it lays down layers of asphalt or pavement in your brain, and it makes it easier to feel that feeling in the future. If you continue to feel these feelings every day for about 90 days, it becomes the primary neural pathway in your brain, or on a cellular level, it becomes who you are. Now, this should give you excitement, and it should make you go, oh, crap. Excitement because you say, wow, I can reprogram my brain. I can feel differently. I can experience something new. And oh, crap, because you've probably been experiencing the emotions of porn for way longer than 90 days, which means it's created one of these neural pathways in your brain. And the way that we eliminate the old patterns and the old beliefs is we stop going there. It's sort of like a road that starts to fall apart with misuse or with a lack of use. And then we re-ingrain the new road that we want to experience in our brain. Hope that makes sense. But we need to begin this first mindset piece is being able to think long term, because habits take time and they take a lot of repetition. So we have to consciously repeat these things, consciously feel the thing we want to feel until it actually becomes who we are. And this is that process. That doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen over a month. And some of it happens over 3 months, and that's why we do this program over an extended period of time. You didn't get there overnight with this addiction, and you're not going to get out of it overnight either. Just not the way our brain works. It takes time to change these things. So the next step of the mindset, the next mindset we need to have is a willingness to sit with your cravings. And what does that mean? We're going to experience cravings, especially early in this process. And I mean, you already know this. It's no surprise. And, it's funny because we'll commit to changing, and then within moments or hours or days, all of a sudden we have the cravings to go back to the old behavior. And so part of the process is, rather than distracting ourselves from the cravings, rather than running from the cravings or making a lot of noise in our life or stuffing the cravings or trying to pretend we're not feeling the cravings, part of the process of recovery is a willingness to just sit there in that space and feel it and not do anything about it. Just be with it. Observe it. Listen to it. Notice it. Pay attention to it. See what message it's sending you. And there's power in this, because often when we can fully experience an emotion, it goes away. It's when we run from it that it continues to chase us. So that's the next piece of the mindset you've got to have, is a willingness to sit with your cravings. The next part of the mindset to succeed is be willing to face some things about you that you may not like. Now, on the we talked about in the on that last video I made, I gave you day 3 and day 4 of the CD program that I created as a free bonus. And I hope you did those exercises, because these are really incredible exercises. But in those exercises, we take a look at some of the beliefs that you've had about yourself and some things you may not have wanted to look at and admit. This is an important part of the recovery process. Initially, when we start doing this, we don't want to go there. We don't want to look at these things. There were things about myself I just didn't want to face. I couldn't admit. And yet, as you grow in this process, as you go through these steps, you'll be able to look at those things and not run from them. And they're not as scary once you actually stare them down. Sort of like a dog that chases you. If you run, it'll chase after you. But if you face it down, it often turns and runs the other way. It's like that with these beliefs we have about ourselves. But it's scary to look at these initially. But you just got to be willing to do that. Some of this work is going to be a little bit unpleasant. You just got to be willing to walk that journey. The next mindset is accepting that there will be times when porn seems like a really good idea. That's just reality. You can go along for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, and all of a sudden one day, it just seems like a great idea to look at some porn. It's like, that is going to make me feel fantastic. So there's this illusion that comes up sometimes when we're on this journey of recovery, that acting out would bring us happiness. And if we relapse, we find out very quickly that it's not the case. And a willingness to just accept that that's going to come up sometimes helps you not to get discouraged along the way and just go, okay, well, just kind of feeling this, just kind of experiencing this. It's where I'm at. And we continue to move forward. There's power in being able to be present with our cravings and not act on those cravings. That's how we develop these new habits and these new skills. And I'm going to give you tools in the program that we can shift those emotions. You don't just have to sit in a place of craving all day long. I don't recommend that either, but when it comes up, be with it. And then we'll teach you some tools to shift it. The next part of the mindset that we want to look at, I call it eliminating the bullshit. And what does that mean? Oh, my mom doesn't watch this. She doesn't like it when I talk like this. But this means, number one, stopping letting other people make you wrong. There's going to be a lot of people that want to make you wrong. Now, I don't recommend you do what I do and go and talk really openly about looking at porn and that kind of stuff, because people don't know how to handle it. But there's certain people you can be honest and you can be real with. And I'll just tell you from my experience, I've got some family members that have requested that I don't bring this topic up at all. So there's people that just can't handle this topic. But don't let them make you wrong. This is what you've experienced. It's been your life experience. Porn is a part of our culture, and you live in this culture, and you got impacted by it. So don't let them make you wrong because of something that happens in life to a lot of us on the planet these days. Now, on the flip side, don't let that be your excuse to why you just keep indulging and you don't get to experience the peace and the power that you want to experience in your life by getting past this. And so that's step one. And the other step is dropping your stories, which is don't make yourself wrong here. We have a tendency to make ourselves wrong in this process. Let other people make us wrong and make ourselves wrong. You don't suck. You're not worthless. You can get over this. But you got to eliminate these stories. This BS doesn't help you. The next one is, and this is really the last of the mindset, is identify what is porn to you. What does that mean? Porn is not just naked. It's not just sex. It's anything that we use to cause arousal in ourselves and to use it as a drug. And this is an interesting game because I call it the BS box that we walk around, where we pretend we're not relapsing, but we're doing things that are giving us the same chemical experience of porn. I know when I had relapsed, I'd gone years and years and years without looking. And when I relapsed that first time, I didn't start by looking at porn. I started by looking at my wife's yoga magazines because they gave me the same rush because I hadn't looked at porn in so long. But I was totally relapsing. I was looking at those yoga magazines and I was treating it like a drug, and I was looking at the women as objects, and I was getting that chemical rush experience. But the problem was I was BSing myself. And I was saying, oh, this isn't a relapse. This isn't really looking at porn. This isn't the real deal. It is. It's porn to you. One of the areas I experienced recently, I hadn't been on Facebook in a long time. I started getting on Facebook and connecting with people, and I really kind of like it. It's a nice, pleasant distraction. But I noticed that there are some women on there that like to pose, swimsuit pictures of themselves and things like that. And I found myself walking the BS box and clicking on those and going, oh, I'm just seeing what this person's up to. But I had to identify what is porn to me. And that acting out was, while it wasn't a full-on relapse and all that kind of stuff, I had to get real with myself and say, look, I'm getting the chemicals. I can recognize it. I know these chemicals. And that behavior does not serve me. And as we start to do that and we start to identify where we're acting out, we don't go all the way to the relapse. We learn sooner and we modify our behavior sooner and start to see what it is that we need to get. So these are the mindset that we need to develop in order to succeed in this process. Here's a few ways that you can get this mindset. Number one, you can mentor with someone who has this mindset. For me, this is something that I've done a lot in my life, is find mentors that have already been down the road that I want to travel. I've done this with all of my businesses that have been successful. I would find a mentor, and often I would pay a lot of money. I've probably spent at least $70,000 on coaches in business and in life and in relationships and all kinds of things. And so I found a mentor that had been down that path that could teach me. So that's one way that you can get the mindset. Another way that you can get this mindset is to reprogram your mind with the new beliefs. We talked about the neural pathways, and the way we reprogram our mind is we feel the emotion we want to experience on purpose every day for about 30 days. And it creates that new neural pathway, and then we continue to do that over about 90 days, and it becomes who we are. But we intentionally create habits so that we can experience what it is we want to experience in our life. Another way, the third way we can get this mindset is, when this goes sort of into the second one, is to actually intentionally create new habits. This is where we sit down and we say, these are habits I'd like to have. These are some things I'd like to have in my life that serve me, and intentionally instill those as a habit. My recommendation is that you don't try to take on more than one habit at a time, and that each habit you focus about 1 month on that habit. So, and I'll talk about the affirmations. It's one of the tools that we really recommend that you get in addition to the free part of the program. But the tool of affirmations, to be able to listen to your voice speaking the powerful new beliefs you want to experience over and over and over, that could be a habit that you want to develop. You could want to develop a habit of eating more greens like spinach and kale and broccoli and things that actually serve your body. And so the way you would do that is you'd say, okay, I wanted to have this habit of eating more green vegetables because green is what's good for my body, helps me to settle my cravings. It alkalizes my system. We'll talk about this in detail in the calls. But you take a look at that and you say, okay, for the next month, I'm going to eat something green every single day. And you set yourself up to win. You set yourself up to be able to do that. And so that's, for example, that's one of the ways that you can intentionally create new habits. If you don't intentionally create new habits, then what you'll have are the habits that you are running right now. And those will continue to lead you back to the addictive behavior because it's all wound up together. We talked about the mindset to succeed. Now let's talk about the mechanics. And so some of the tools that you need to succeed, and look, you should get these tools somewhere. You can get them here with us in this program. You can, if you can find them in a book somewhere, you can do that. You can go mentor with someone, find these tools. One way or another, get these tools. There's lots of ways to get them. It's just important that you do this. So the first of these tools is someplace you can come back to on a regular basis to keep your head in the game. Because what's going to happen is, down the road of recovery, you're going to forget why it's important that you're in the recovery process. It's just what happens. And so it's really helpful to have someplace you can come back to on a regular basis and check back in to keep your head in the game, to keep reminding yourself of of what it is that you would like to experience. Now, this can be, well, that's why we do the weekly calls, so you can check back in. This can also be a group program. It could be an accountability partner. But you need to have this tool of some place you come back to regularly check in, get your head in the game, and remember why you're in the recovery process. The second tool that we're going to talk about is to have something daily that reminds you of the direction in which you're going. It's so important in this process because, see, what's programmed is cravings. What's programmed is acting out. What's programmed is compulsive behavior and getting out of balance and then going into cravings. Cravings are going to rule the day. Your brain has been wired up to experience cravings. And so one of the tools you want to implement is some kind of tool that will bring you back to remembering where it is you want to go. Now, this is my personal feeling, and I've spent decades in personal development and studying the brain and I've worked with thousands of people in this process. And what I have found is I like tools that are easy, that I can do it once and then repeat it over and over and over, and things that I can do on my worst day. Because there's times in this process when our brain just flat out resists change. And so when we can have tools that we can use every day, and I'll talk to you about some of these tools in this video, like the affirmations, the CDs we talked a little bit about, tools that we can plug into every single day. The Lifeline call, we talked about that. That's a great tool to do that. But something that you can plug into every day to remind yourself of why you're in this journey of recovery. The next mechanic is, or tools that we talked about, are processes to break our old thought patterns, to break the shame, to break the stories, and to reprogram us with truth. Now, the most powerful way that we have found to do this is through visualization exercises. This is when we close our eyes and we relax and we allow ourselves to go on a journey. I like to have guided visualizations where someone guides me through a process where I can close my eyes and go through this journey of shifting the old stories and shifting the old beliefs and shifting the identity that I had and replacing it with the truth. I want you to consider this. Where does the past exist? Think about it. Because it's not happening right now, right? The 12-year-old version of you, unless you're 12, and then in that case the 11-year-old version of you, isn't still on the planet. You know, the 15-year-old version or the 20 or the 30 or the 40-year-old version, whatever your age is, that younger version of you is not on the planet anymore, right? So where does the past exist? Because it's not happening. It did happen. I don't want to say that the past didn't happen. It did. But where does it exist now? Consider this. So I was 9 years old, and there was this dog in my front yard, and I reached out, and I went to pet the dog, and it bit my hand. Actually, I think it was this hand. And I remember it was so startling, and it hurt me. And since that time, I have been afraid to pet dogs on the top of their heads because I'm afraid I'll get bit. Right? That was decades ago. So where does that exist? It's not happening now. I'm not getting bit by a dog. So it exists in this image that I have in my brain and this emotion in my body. And so if I think of the image, I feel the emotion. I think of the image of the dog, I feel the emotion and the trauma. Right? That's the only place the past exists. Now, did it happen? Yes. Is it still happening? No. What does that mean? It means that if we want to transform our life moving forward, and we want to be able to approach a dog and not be scared, not bring up the past again, we can go in through visualization and we can shift those images. Because that's all they are, electrical firings in our brain. We can take those images and we can shift them and we can replace them with a new empowering emotion. So we think the new image, we feel the new emotion. And this is how we transform the past. It doesn't change what happened. It changes the story that we have about it. It's one of the most important parts of this process in breaking the shame cycle, is that we're able to go in and we're able to undo some of these patterns and create new emotions that we want to feel. So that's one of the tools you want to have in order to be able to shift this. Now, we talked about this, right? We talked about the process in the Cure the Craving program. We've got the weekly calls. We've got the weekly check-in. We've got the lifeline call, the question and answer call. Right? These are some of the tools that that we have in the program. And I'm going to tell you about some other tools that we have as well. See, here's one of the issues that comes up in life. There's 3 ways that we can commit to something. We can commit time, we can commit energy, and we can commit money. So think about this in the areas of your life when you've committed time to a project, but you didn't commit energy and you didn't commit money. Right? Sometimes we watch TV that way. We give up our time, but we don't give up our energy. We're not engaged in the process. We're not in this. Our emotions aren't in it, right? So we're just giving up our time. And then think about what happens when you actually put in your time and your energy. Then you can get involved. You can experience it. You can feel it, right? And then the things that we get the best results in are when we commit time, energy, and money. And why? Why does the money factor change things? Think about this for yourself. When you commit time, energy, and money to a process, what is it how do you show up in that process? I know for myself, when I commit time, energy, and money, I show up and I'm like, you better get me results because I'm putting my time into this, I'm putting my energy into this, and I put money on the table. And I want to see results in this process. And so as you move forward in life, consider the areas where you've done this, right? So in this Cure the Craving program, you have now committed time because you watched the video to this point. You may have committed energy if you actually did some of the exercises, or if you went through the day 3 and 4 of the CD program. I think I put them in there backwards. But if you went through those, you would have committed energy, and the final commitment is money. And I want to talk to you in my background of personal development. I spent years studying this for my own issues because I was totally jacked up in my life. And I got to where things started to flow, and I was able to tap into my power as a creator. And I started to teach other people these processes and work with them. And like I said, most of my clients, I didn't get paid unless they got results. So I had to do something to get them results. And I figured out what were the best tools, what were the most effective ways to do this. And so I found 2 tools I want to talk to you about that, from a personal development, life-changing standpoint, they are some of the most incredible and powerful tools that I've ever experienced. They can help people radically improve every area of their life, their finances, their relationships, their health. And what I found is in my personal development training business, that as my clients would go through these other tools, they would also overcome a lot of their addictions. And so I want to talk to you about a couple of those tools right now. So we talked about the part of the program you just signed up for, and this is the free part of the Cure the Craving program. The calls, check-ins, the lifeline call, and the question and answer. And I want to talk to you just for a moment about what I call if I can get this to go, I call it the I really mean it part of the program. And there's 2 tools that I have used with my clients in personal development that have been absolutely life-changing, created incredible results for those. The first is a 21-day audio program called A Course in Creation, and it's a 24 CD set is what it is. Has nothing to do with pornography addiction. It has everything to do with the beliefs that have led you to be in the place where you are in your life. You sampled CDs 3 and 4 out of this program. That was what the download was this program called A Course in Creation. It helps you tap into your power as a creator, to get really clear and then to use the tools to create those things in your life. The other tool is what I call the custom affirmations. And this is what I found. You may have heard of affirmations before. There's a really funny Saturday Night Live sketch that talks about affirmations back years ago. It would say, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me, right? So there's been a lot of great jokes about affirmations, but there is power in shifting how we talk to ourselves in our minds. And so I want to take a minute. I'm going to talk to you about these 2 tools. I'm going to talk to you first about the affirmations. Here's the challenge with affirmations. You may have done this before in your life. You start to write down some affirmations. You say, okay, I want to experience these new things in my life, and I'm going to write it down on a daily basis. Now, my experience is I start to write those things down on day 1, and I'm so excited. I'm pumped. I'm like, yeah, I'm making change. Things are good. I'm excited about this change. And on day 2, I go, oh, that's right. I got to write my affirmations. But the emotion has kind of gone down a bit. And then on day 3, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, I better write these. And by day 4, I'm like, man, I'm nothing like these. I suck. And I quit writing my affirmations. So what we found, and this is why I say it's got to be easy, it's got to be something you can do on your worst day. What we've done is we've got the technology where we take a recording of your voice, and then we have very specific calculated Mozart music that's been shown in brain studies to stimulate the left and right sides of your brain while you listen to it, so that you actually receive these beliefs on a deep level in your subconscious mind. And so it's your voice, because you think about your inner dialogue. Who is it? It's you. You look in the mirror and you say terrible things to yourself. It's your voice. The doubt, the shame, all that stuff, it's your voice. So what we do, we take a recording of your voice. So now it's you, but this time you're saying incredible beliefs to yourself. Powerful beliefs to reprogram who you are. And then we mix it with this special Mozart music that causes your brain to receive the information on a deeper level. And what we found is that over about 30 days, there becomes a shift. The first 30 days, there's a lot of resistance. There really is. You'll say something like, I'm always taken care of. And the little voice in your head will be like, well, you weren't taken care of that one time. Right? So there's a lot of resistance. But after about 30 days, it starts to shift and you actually start to buy into it. And over about 90 days, it will literally transform how you feel about yourself. And when we talk about the tools of breaking the shame that comes along with this, I don't know of any other tool that does a better job at breaking the shame and replacing it with the truth of who you are than the custom affirmations. And so it's a tool that you're going to want to have if you really mean it in your recovery. The other tool is the 21-day audio program. The way this program is designed is it's 24 CDs that we set up. At the beginning of the program, you kind of take a look at the beliefs and where these beliefs came from. And if you experience days 3 and 4, you know that we really dug into what did you learn from mom and dad? What did you learn from your upbringing and the experiences and the things that people told you? And then once you've kind of cleared out all those weeds from the garden, we use the garden analogy a lot in this program, you kind of clear out the weeds in the first 4 days of the program. And then in day 5, you start to take a look at what it is you want to create in your spiritual relationship. I call it the what and the why. And this is, from a gardening analogy, this is where you set the rows in your garden. You say, this is what I want to grow. This is the harvest that I want to experience. So we start to go through this and we take a look at the what and the why in our spiritual relationship. And then we take a look at the what and the why in our relationship with ourself. Who is it we want to be? What is it we want to experience? How do we want to feel about ourselves? And we get clear on this vision. Because if you don't get clear on your vision, you won't be able to get there. And this tool causes these, because we go through visualization exercises, it causes the beliefs to sink deep into your emotions. And that's where change happens. Then we get into the what and the why of our relationships with others, the what and why of our health, and then we get into the what and why of, if I can find them, of our finances. What is it you want to create in your finances, in your wealth, the things that you're creating financially in your life? This is an incredible tool to help you create that vision and get clear on that. And then we get into the contribution that your life makes. Because if we don't have a vision of the contribution we want to make, it's not likely it's going to happen. And so we go through this exercise and get clear on that contribution. And then the rest of the program, one day at a time, talks about the most powerful techniques for change that we've ever found on the market. And, I studied with some of the best mentors and coaches on the planet. I've spent well over 100,000 hours going to seminars and trainings and boot camps and workshops and learning from the best of the best. And I've brought all the tools that I learned from these different experts in change and put them in the program. So the rest of the program goes through the beliefs of where we came from and how to reprogram our brain and affirmations and our self-image and frustrations that we experience in life and how to get over the frustrations we're experiencing. And then it gets into our patterns and our fears and why we have fears and how to deal with those. We talk about having abundant relationships because that's such an important part of life. We talk about healthy living. We talk about the law of attraction and how that works in our life. And then we get into creating a manifestation event. And this is where you take a vision that you have, something you want to experience, and you make it real in the world. Because it's one thing to have an idea or to have a vision, have something you're passionate about. It's another thing to actually go through all the steps to make it real in the world. And in this CD, I go through creating a manifestation event on the CD and actually do one myself. It's really a powerful CD. It's my favorite CD of the program. Don't skip ahead and listen to this one. I want you to go through the whole thing first. And it helps you to make your vision real in the world, because that's what we want. We want to take our dreams and our ideas and our visions and not just have them be wishy-washy, hopeful things or just fantasies that we think about. We want to experience them in the real world. And that's what this is about. The rest of the program are some bonus CDs that I put in. The first one is a relaxation practice, because I found that a lot of people just have a hard time letting go and relaxing. This tool is so powerful that one of the guys I was coaching, he was a professional athlete. He was playing professional football, and his team was playing in the Super Bowl. And so I called him the day before the Super Bowl, and I said, "Hey man, how's it going? You know, you getting ready for the game? Are you nervous? How you feeling?" And he said to me, he says, I want to know what you say at the end of the relaxation CD, but I keep falling asleep. I'm trying to get to the end. Every time I get in, I just fall asleep. He's like, "What do you say at the end of the program?" And I said, "Hold on, you're telling me you're about to play in front of like 100 million people, and you're falling asleep listening to this CD?" He's like, "Yeah, that's a good point." He's like, "Can I get some more for the other guys on the team?" It was really interesting because going through this process, one of the things that he experienced was he fumbled the ball in the Super Bowl. And, and it was this, and he can laugh about it now. Why? Because he got rid of all the stories about himself. He got rid of, the idea that he had to prove something in his life. And so anyway, it was fun to watch that. That's a powerful tool for you. The other tool that I want to tell you about is a surrender CD. Because often in life we cling to how things are showing up and we force things to show up a certain way. And so in this CD, we go through the surrender practice of letting go of having to demand that things show up. And then the last CD is just a daily reminder CD. It's really short. I think it's about 7 minutes long. And it quickly goes through everything that we talked about in the program to remind you of how to stay on your game and keep focusing on this. See, if we don't have reminders, then we will go back to our old patterns. Our habits will rule the day. And so these tools of ingraining this into your brain, combined with the custom affirmations, combined with the weekly calls over 9 months, will literally transform who you are. And that's the power of this program. That's why the program works for the people that really get in and invest in themselves. Now, the guy I told you about that, I talked about that he went through the program and did really well with it. One of the things that he did was he went through these CDs specifically in the area where it goes into what and why you want to create these things in your life. He spent a lot of time listening to those and able to write his vision and get really clear. It's been amazing to watch him over the years live out that vision. He makes a lot more money. He was able to get married. He's able to create a lot of the things that he wanted to create in his life. And he's living on this whole new level of it wasn't even almost imaginable where he was before. And that happened because he went through these processes. And, and he was able to deal with his addictions as well. As I said, this really doesn't have anything to do with pornography addiction. But it's the most powerful tool that I know of to create lasting change in your life. And so I wanted to tell you about these tools. There's different reasons why people won't invest in themselves. Some people say it sounds too simplistic, right? You're like, "Oh, yeah, okay, great. I listen to some affirmation. I do some CDs. I get on a phone call. Like, how's that going to change my life?" And the reality is this. The fundamentals of life work for all of us. Think about this. If we eat broccoli and spinach, it's going to make us healthier. Across the board, every human being on the planet works this way. And so the fundamentals, if you'll just do these fundamentals, which basically this is what the program is. It's the basic fundamentals. And as you do those, you can actually experience the change that you're looking for. Another reason people won't invest in themselves and they end up not getting the change is they go, "Well, I've already tried that. I've already tried to implement it." And what I would have you consider is that you have used the tools that you have. And if you had other tools, you would have used those. And so if you want change, if you want something other than what you have now, you have to get new tools to be able to do that. Otherwise, you can't expect change. It's ridiculous to expect change if you don't use some different tools. Einstein said this. He said, a problem can't be solved by the mind that created it. We have to bring in new tools. That's why I've invested in coaches and in programs and processes, because the tools that I had, they kind of sucked. They were really good at getting me addicted to things, but they didn't do so well at helping me create the things I wanted in life, have satisfaction, have good relationships, make more money, feel good about myself and accept myself. I didn't have those tools. So I learned those tools from other people. Another reason that people don't invest, and one of the questions that comes up is they go, whoa, hold on. I thought this program was free. I thought, you know, you're a nonprofit, right? We talked about the program, we talked about the Cure the Craving, right, with the free part of the program. And they say, well, if it's a nonprofit and if it's free, why do you have these other processes and the I mean it portion of the program that's for sale? And it's a good question. I mean, it's a fair question. So here's basically how it works. I'm the sole funder of the nonprofit. And so what we found when we were charging for the program is that we had people all over the world that just flat out couldn't afford the $297 we were charging for the calls. You know, for some of the people, that was almost as much as they made in a month. And so we decided, let's see if we can reach people all over the planet with the basics of the recovery program, with as much as we could make available for free, and have that be in the calls. And it costs us tens of thousands of dollars a year to keep this program open. We've got the support staff, we've got all the internet sites, we've got all the different fees that come along with it. It's very expensive to run the program. So what we did is we said, okay, we'll bring in some of the for-profit products from our other company, and we'll sell those to be able to fund the nonprofit. And so that's why we do it that way. That's why it's set up that way. Some of the people have said, look, I just don't have time. Right? They're not ready to make a commitment of time. They're not ready to make a commitment of energy. And they're not willing to make a commitment of money. And the challenge is this, and ask yourself this, and this is whether you invest in this program or you invest in some other program, anything in your life. If you don't invest your time, you can't expect much of a result. And if you don't get your energy into this process, or any process you do, you won't be able to get the results you're looking for. And if you don't invest money, you won't demand results. There's something that happens magically when we put money on the table. We show up and we go, okay, I just invested money. I want to see some results here. I want to experience these things that you've talked about. This is what I expect from the program. And when we show up that way, we find what we're looking for. And this is the power of that investment. You just have to decide in yourself if you're ready to make that kind of investment. Other people have said, well, I don't want anything mailed to my house. I don't want a CD program mailed to my house or an affirmations product mailed to my house because I don't want anybody to know I'm involved in this recovery program. And believe me, I get it. I totally get it. I know when I first bought a recovery book, I bought it at the bookstore and I was so embarrassed to buy it. And you know, I was like, oh man, this person's going to think I've got a porn addiction because I'm buying this book on porn addiction. And I hand them the money and I took it home and I think I tore the cover off the book because I didn't want anyone to know what it was called that I was reading. As I went through this, I totally get it. So this is what we've done to make it so that that never comes up for you. We don't mail anything in this program. Everything's digital. So if you decide to upgrade and do the, you know, I'm serious about it process and get the CD program and the affirmations program, right? You can put it on your iPod or whatever you listen to it with. We email both of these products to you. Everything's done digitally through the email address that you use to sign up so that you can get the help you need and you can remain anonymous. Nobody has to know about this. You don't have to do what I do and make a bunch of videos talking about it. Some people don't invest because they go, how do I know this is legit? How do I know I'm not going to get ripped off on the internet? Here's my suggestion to you. Use a valid credit card to make the investment. Because if you use a credit card, they're going to protect you. Now, in addition to that, we give a 30-day, no question asked refund. So if someone doesn't feel like the products are helping them and they're absolutely for them, with no questions asked, we give a full refund. So there's really no risk there. I have had people say, look, I don't want any charges showing up on my credit card because I don't want, you know, my wife or somebody else to see there's a record of me participating in this program. I've had people that were important people in life, or somewhat recognizable people, and they didn't want anyone to know. They were either a church leader or a pastor or high up somewhere, an organization, or a semi-famous person. They've participated in the program. They didn't want this on their credit card. They didn't want a record or a trail of this anywhere. So what we do is the charges, if you decide to invest in the additional parts of the program, they go through and it'll say Tony Litster, Water Read Repeat LLC, which is the name of my personal development training company. It doesn't say anything about Cure the Craving or anything like that. Now, for those that really want to stay off the radar, there is a cash option. I'll talk about that later. I'm not going to talk about this on this video. So if you want to be absolutely anonymous, there is a way to do that. I'll make another video and we'll talk about how to do that. I have had some people say, and this is a legitimate issue about not investing in the full program. They say, in fact, I got an email like this 3 or 4 days ago. I live in a third world country, and I don't have a credit card, or I make $10 a month, or $100 a month, or whatever the amount of money they make is, and they just flat out can't invest, but they really do want to move forward. We have a scholarship program available for real needs. You better have a damn good need if you're asking about the scholarship program. You live in a third world country? I lived in the third world. I get it. So we work on scholarships for those people. If you live in the developed world, you better have a really significant need in order to be considered for the scholarships. And this is just from me and my personal experience. Maybe I'm a little bit jaded. I started a paper route when I was 11 years old in Idaho in the winters. And, in college, I cleaned a bar. I cleaned up people's puke and diarrhea and all their broken bottles and glass. At, 4 o'clock in the morning, I cleaned the bar as soon as all the drunks left to put myself through school and to study personal development. So I've made gigantic sacrifices in my own life to be able to grow. And it's because I invested time, energy, and money that I grew. And so the scholarships are really for people in significant situations that have need, not for people that are just like, oh, I can't afford it. If you can't afford it, I'm going to invite you to stretch, because if you stretch and figure out how to afford it, you'll get more from the program. If I give it to you for free, because we've tried this, we've done it, people don't participate. They get it for free, they don't value it. So that's one of the things. And then the last reason people don't invest in themselves is I get people to say, I want life to be effortless and easy. And in that case, I say, go someplace else. I had somebody email me, and they were like, okay, I'm going to try out your program, but I can't guarantee it's going to work because it's probably going to be hard. And, I'm a porn addict. And I emailed them back, and I said, you know what? This program is not going to work for you. You better go someplace else, because this program requires effort. And they were like, what do you mean this program's not going to work for me? What about all your testimonials? Yeah, it worked for them because they made an investment and they participated fully and they really stretched themselves. You, in that case, speaking to that email, I said, you're not willing to make that kind of investment, make that kind of stretch. So you got to take a look at yourself. See where you are in this process. We welcome you at whatever level you want to participate. I'm excited. I acknowledge you for being willing to take these steps. It's huge. And as you move forward in your life, the more you invest in yourself, the more you're going to get the results that you're looking for. So as a little bit of a recap, we talk about the weekly call. This is what you're going to get. This is part of the free program. It's going to be an hour every week. You can join us or you can do the replay. We do the check-in call, which is going to be a few days later, 10 to 15 minutes. Keep you reminded of what we talked about in the main call. Just keep your head in the game. Keep you focused. Keep the emotions that you want to experience as a reminder. The lifeline call for those times when you get cravings and you just need to have something to shift your state of mind. You dial in or you listen from your computer, you download it. And then the question and answer, which we'll do monthly. I'm going to open up the lines. You can ask me any question you want, and I'll answer it. And that's the free portion of the program. And then the I Really Mean It portion of the program includes a course in creation, the 21 days CD program with the bonuses in there, so those 24 CDs, which will be a download, and the custom affirmations, which is your voice speaking these beliefs to yourself, mixed with this calculated Mozart music to create incredible change. So this is kind of the entire program. In the next 24 hours, I'm going to send you an offer. It's only going to be available in this next video. It's going to have some special bonuses and some things that I haven't made available anywhere else before. You're only going to see it in that video, so make sure you watch that video at the end when we have those. Here's the three options that you really have. You can keep doing what you're doing, right? You don't have to change. You don't have to listen to anything I say. I totally get it. Don't believe anything I tell you. Don't set me up as, the end-all expert. I am not the source of light. I'm a slight reflection of that light. So you can do what you're doing, but you're going to keep getting the results that you're getting. You can get all the tools that we talked about and fully participate in the program, which is going to increase the likelihood of your results. Or you can find the tools somewhere else. Whatever you do, you want to get free from this plague. And so look for these tools somewhere. Do something because you deserve it. And in the next video, I'm going to talk about how to get the best results. So we'll talk on that video. I'll see you in a little bit.